The problem with democratic politics is, and spin and 24-hour news and whatever, the person who inevitably comes to lead the country, and I think that questioner had it right, is going to have to reflect the strength of belief in the country itself. So if you went around, like Christopher, bagging all the churches and anyone who believed, I think it'll be a long time before that happens, and I would be very surprised if it ever did happen. You could be an atheist, but I don't think you'd go around telling everyone that you thought everyone that was a believer was an idiot.
Sally Warhart.
I think I think there's just no way the United States...
Scant applause for a cheap point. It's encouraging.
I think that there is no way the United States would elect a president who was not a practising Christian of some sort in my lifetime. I just cannot see it. I mean, interestingly, they were ready to elect a woman, and I think they would have if there hadn't have been an Obama there, but there's just no way. In fact, I think that's probably going backwards in American culture at the moment. Australia, I don't think people could care less.
Christopher.
Well, my only point would be, I'll make a quick point about the United States. It's a good thing that atheists are not banned from holding the office, because we would have missed Mr. Lincoln, for example. And in my opinion, Mr. Jefferson and one or two other people probably worth having. But as late as in England, the life of James Stuart Mill, in America, the life of Benjamin Franklin, there were quite well-known, publicly secure, confident, professional thinkers who didn't think it was advisable to let people know what they thought in public, because that's how dangerous it could be in a pious regime. And it seems that, and all people of faith can apparently congratulate themselves upon it, that faith still demands professions of faith by people who don't hold it, that are by definition hypocritical. So congratulations to religious opinion for bringing that beautiful thing about in what's supposed to be a secular democracy.
Okay, no doubt we're going to come back to religious questions shortly, but you're watching Q&A, the unpredictable program where you get to ask the questions. If you'd like to ask a question in person, go to our website, register to join the studio audience. We'll change subjects now for a while. Next question comes from William Mackenzie.
Is great talent an excuse for paedophilia? What are the panel's opinions on the Roman Polanski situation in Switzerland and America at the moment?
Waleed.
Can someone explain to me why... I actually don't understand the argument that he shouldn't be brought before a court. I just don't understand it. Right. I'm happy for someone to convince me.
Well, there's an argument in France. He's very talented, so he shouldn't therefore face trial.
No, but have you caught up with the news? It's all changed. It's changed today, which was interesting. The French have backed off. Hillary Clinton has said it's a legal matter. The Polish leader, I think, has backed off, even though he's married to someone who's supporting Polanski. And a Hollywood serious communicator has a blog or something where the anti-Polanski responses are running 100 to 1, and the New York Times has come out and argued against him, which is an interesting phenomenon. So maybe it's changing.
Can I say
I don't know why it would be interesting. I mean, I just can't believe they wouldn't argue that he should be tried. I was reading his autobiography last night, and Polanski's account of, you know, making love to this young woman on Jack Nicholson's couch. It was just you know...
So why has it taken so long? That's the reason.
Well, that's where the talent comes in.
Yeah.
Rem arcu tetagisti, as they say in Latin. You touch the point of the needle. He's already had the rewards of being talented. 30 years on the lam after, I'll say it directly, fornicating with and sodomizing a 13-year-old to whom he had given narcotics to lull
which he pled guilty.
Now, excuse me, you know, we do have our standards, even those of us who don't believe we're being supernaturally supervised.
Although the really sad thing is that this woman has come out and said that the trial by media that she's going to have to endure in this is she believes will be worse than the actual crime, which is it's a really sad and terrible tale.
But that's his fault too.
That's
yes,
absolutely it is, and he still needs to be tried. But it's awful that she's going to have to suffer. So she doesn't want it to define her whole life.
For discussing this,
and yet he has to be tried.
But it was his lawyers that brought this back into the arena, and so in a sense this has been all brought about because late last year his lawyers tried to get through a loophole in the law to have his charges dropped, and of course that then set the prosecution out and running.
Can I make a point and a sort of admission here? And I'm almost surprised. I'm almost surprised by the admission, which is that well, it's a simple one really. That I've actually been to see several of these films in that period. I've watched others on DVD, and when you think about it carefully, is that somehow supporting?
You mean we'd have been deprived of the films if you'd been nabbed in the first place?
No, not at all. I'm simply saying I wonder why I didn't think about this at the time.
Oh, well, because we're all capable of keeping 2 sets of books. I mean, that's part of our nature. Well, I can see that I'm not the only one. Just for discussing this subject, a couple of years ago, my magazine, Vanity Fair, was sued by Mr. Polanski from Paris in London, not in America, where he thought the jurisdiction would be easier on him. He didn't even have to appear in person, because he thought that might be risky. He made a video deposition. We claimed he had no reputation to defend. He walked away with a lot of our money on a libel judgment, saying this couldn't be discussed. So I would say, screw him. And I would add, screw him for a chain.
Frank Britton.
It's his turn.
Going back to the question, I mean, what about the 13-year-old girl? I mean,
she's saying no.
But go back to then, and I mean, to speak of, you know, the talent of the one who is the perpetrator, what about the talent and what's happened to the victim? And what the law's got to be about is protecting the victim, whether or not she's talented. And if the perpetrator be talented, well, it counts for nothing. That's what justice, according to law, has to be about.
Although, sadly, you know, the stuff-up of this means that it hasn't protected her at all. It's gone on for 35 years, and it could have all been over.
There's a broader point as well. It's not about the Polanski case, and this is where I get in my lawyer mode. It's about the integrity of the justice system. You cannot, I think, as a justice system, tolerate or reward someone just because they managed to get away with it for 30 years and say, oh, it was a long time ago. Well, no, there is a reason that the criminal law doesn't have a statute of limitations that applies to it by and large. And that is because we deem crime to be of such significant import that it must be punished irrespective of what time has elapsed between the commission of the offence and the finding of the offender.
There is, imagine what you would say if it was a bishop.
Well, of course. But I just cannot...
Probably what everyone on the panel actually has been saying. So, you're watching Q&A, the live and interactive forum where you ask the questions. Our next question comes from Bazda Yildiz.
Why is it that the Islamic country, Iran, is the threat to the peace in the world and not the Zionist? Is it America's support of Israel? Well, hundreds of people are getting killed in Gaza and West Bank every day with the support of America. The Israel-Palestinian war has been going on for 61 years, and we are not actually looking at what is actually happening, and we're fearing about what is not happening. We're fearing about something that hasn't happened.
Okay. Sally Warhart, do you want to pick that up? And I might add, by the way, we had a number of questions asking why Iran's nuclear program and not Israel's is the illegal one.
Look, this is it's a tragedy. I think with Israel and Palestine, it's something where it almost takes half an hour to sort out what has to happen. You know, the Palestinians need a state. Israelis need to feel secure. But it feels like it's just so far away. I think that part of the problem is obviously the delicacy of the Israeli coalition. I mean, I don't know, beyond what I've just said, that it's simple what has to happen, but how you make it happen and how